समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
The US Department of Justice, with quite a bit of fanfare, and if I may add, with a fair bit of self-congratulation, patting their own back, well deserved though, they unsealed 3 indictments. In the American system, an indictment is the equivalent of the charge sheet in the Indian system. In the American system, the prosecutor puts out an indictment for the lesser cases. For the more serious cases, it's a grand jury indictment. So in this case, 3 grand jury indictments have been put out, totaling 111 pages. As in the Indian system, once a charge sheet is presented in court, the judge has to examine the charge sheet and take cognizance. Judge has to say whether this is serious enough or not, and then frame charges. Something similar happens in the American system also. So the FIR is a very early process. This is now the charge sheet state. That is because the 2 legal systems are different. I thought it's important to explain this. These 3 charge sheets or indictments, these indict or these charge 37 individuals. 37 individuals, most of whom happen to be of Indian origin. Not all. There are a few Hispanic names there. There are Mexicans, obviously, and maybe people of Hispanic origin living in Canada and America. But most of them are of Indian origin. Most are of Indian origin. Most are also living in US, Canada, or in Europe. Only a few are living in India. In fact, if you look at all the fugitives announced now, only 3 are to be found in India, and 2 of them are actually in India's jails for quite some time, and they've been running their operation from those jails. I will give you those details as we come along. These 3 indictments, let me first tell you who are these against generally, because the charges across the 3 are very similar, and the American system of writing these indictments is very orderly. So they will say charge 1, charge 2, charge 3, what the conspiracy was, what did they try to achieve, what should they be given as punishment. And then it also goes on to add that anything that they might have acquired, any wealth they might have acquired as a consequence of their crimes should be forfeited. That is the overall structure of an American criminal indictment. In this case, the 3 indictments, the first of all, and I will go by what is most significant for us in India. Some of these details, some of what these indictments mean, people mentioned, you will also find in 2 videos that Ananya Bhardwaj, who's the editor heading our internal security team, she has done 2 videos, so you will find those links. Please check those out. I am also relying on a lot of the wisdom given to me by her. However, what I'm doing is I'm trying to do a classical cut the clutter for you, not going into the detail of anything, not doing storytelling, not holding a trial right here. This is not a TV channel. You should watch TV channels for trials, but for some reason TV channels have not paid too much attention to this story. I am listing these 3 indictments in terms of their significance for us in India. So number 1, mention the name Lawrence Bishnoi, and you know that is the most important indictment for us. Lawrence Bishnoi and his partner Satyinderjit Singh, alias Goldy Brar. Now, most of the people listed here have multiple aliases. I will list some of those are really funny, although the story is not funny, but sometimes you get dark humor out of these situations. Lawrence Bishnoi is the only one who does not have an alias. Why? Maybe because his first name is an alias. He wasn't named Lawrence when he was born. He was Balkaran, born in a part of Haryana bordering Punjab, and then went to Punjab University, for better or worse, my university, as did Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, again for better or worse, the alleged Khalistan leader in the US, but also Dr. Manmohan Singh came from my university. So good people have also come out of our university. Don't blame the university. Lawrence Bishnoi, by this time his name had changed. He had become Lawrence. He had some notion about himself and he was bored being a mere student leader. And he set up his own gang. He's only 33 years old. So this indictment lists him as conspirator number 1. Then Satinderjeet Singh, alias Goldy Brar, as conspirator number 2. And third, Rohit Godara, who has multiple aliases. Satinderjeet Singh has only one, Goldy Brar. Rohit Godara has Guru, Jai Shri Ram, that is some alias, Jai Shri Ram, Ravata Das, and Pavan Kumar. All of these investigators have picked up. These members of Lawrence Bishnoi gang had areas divided between them. Goldy Brar, for example, was in charge of North America, and North America means the US, Canada, and Mexico at least. Godara was in charge of Europe. He's still somewhere in Europe, and all of the European police forces are looking for him. And Kang was in charge of the operations in India, or is allegedly in charge of the operations in India. Then there is Sukhraj Kang. Sukhraj Kang is somebody who's still supposed to be in India. Lawrence Bishnoi is in India, but is in jail. He's currently lodged in the Sabarmati maximum security prison. Rohit Godara is in Europe. He's at large. I can guarantee to you that 35 countries police or 36 countries police right now is looking for him. That is all of Europe, including Britain, America, and Canada. They are all looking for him. And then there is Sukhraj Kang. Sukhraj Kang again is a key figure in this. He also has multiple aliases, also known as Rajan Bhatti, Victor, Kala, Vankit. Vankit, what is Vankit? I suspect that is a Punjabiized way of saying Venkat for some reason. He's also at large, most probably in US or Canada. So that is the one indictment. The second indictment is against Ravinder Singh Dhanda and his gang. Ravinder Singh Dhanda is at large. He has the maximum number of aliases. Randy, Rolex, Jim, Daytona. I bet he loves all of these. Maybe his mom loves all of these. Then he has a surprise alias. That is John Wick. Rings a bell? John Wick is the character that Keanu Reeves plays in a film franchise. There've been multiple films featuring John Wick as the shooter, as the assassin, as the hired gun. That started with a film in 2014 called John Wick. So he carries that alias as well. His organization has actually been called Dhanda Drug Trafficking Organization, and he's been dealing in bulk with cocaine and meth. Meth, as we know, is methamphetamine. If you've seen Breaking Bad, that is the drug that they are cooking in that scary teleserial. Now, that done, we come to the third indictment. That has its own kind of significance, specifically for India. Jaggu Bhagwanpuria. Jaggu again is drawn from the full name Jagdeep. So Jagdeep Bhagwanpuria runs his gang also from a prison in India. Jagdeep Bhagwanpuria or Jaggu Bhagwanpuria, he is right now sitting in one more maximum security prison far away in one of the more distant parts of India, in Silchar, in Assam. And from there he's been running his empire. His key ally or his key partner or his co-conspirators include Gurlal Singh. There are many co-conspirators. I'm specially mentioning Gurlal Singh, and you will soon know why. He's also known as, he has aliases, Gurlal Radiana and Gullu. This list of co-conspirators, interestingly, has the only female name of the three indictments. That is Mandeep Kaur. We've been searching these indictments to see what is there specifically against her, but that is the only female name in these indictments. Now, what's the larger story in these indictments? First of all, this is something that the US, Canadian, British and European law enforcement agencies have been working on for a very long time. From this iteration in these indictments, I can see that they've been working at it at least since 2023. And this extensive operation over more than a couple of years by the investigating agencies of so many friendly countries, was given the name Operation Hardball. June 18, 2023 is when Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was a separatist in British Columbia and Surrey, head of a Gurdwara, he was assassinated. Looks like these agencies got interested in these networks or these triads at that point or maybe earlier, because it was quite evident at that point that that killing was carried out by hired guns. Who had hired them was the issue. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada at that point, no lover of Narendra Modi's and no lover of India's, and also very reliant on the Sikh vote there. Sikh vote in Canada is very concentrated in a number of constituencies or ridings as these are called there. And it was critical for his party to win those to get power. He had a coalition government. He was struggling to keep his majority and his government, particularly in the second term. So he jumped the gun and he quickly blamed India. His government then freely leaked stuff in Canadian newspapers, particularly Globe and Mail, saying that Indian officials at the highest level, one of them even named Home Minister Amit Shah, other key people in the Indian security establishment. And then his government also said that they wanted to question the Indian High Commissioner. They wanted to question multiple members of the Indian High Commission, senior members. They expelled the person who they said was in charge of intelligence. Subsequently, they said they wanted to question a bunch of senior officials, diplomats from the Indian High Commission, including the High Commissioner. And obviously, when India tossed that demand, they declared the Indian High Commissioner and some others persona non grata. So they were expelled from Canada. India carried out a tit for tat, but more than a tit for tat. For India expelled a lot more from the Canadian missions in India. Consulates were shut down simply because Canadians had a lot more diplomats and a lot more staff in India. And with that, the Canadian visas also froze for people seeking either employment or education in Canada, because this also exposed a big racket in human trafficking, fake visas, fake claims of education in Canada, fake claims of work in Canada. All of this got exposed, and that is when it looks like these countries got together and started investigating this. As they investigated this, the key point that came out is that yes, Nijjar assassination was, I have to say allegedly, was allegedly sanctioned. I'm using an Americanism, sanctioned, or a hit was given out by the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. Lawrence Bishnoi gang gave out the hit. His people also later made claims that this was a job carried out by them. At that point, they might have pretended to be doing it as quote unquote Indian patriots. Because when you read this indictment, particularly referring to Lawrence Bishnoi, it says that he projected himself, he built for himself a persona of a patriot, a nationalist, a man of religion. Remember, he's been threatening Salman Khan all this while. Why? Because he says Salman Khan killed a black buck, and black buck is held holy or held sacred by the Bishnoi community. That is how he's given himself a Hindu religious color as well. The fact, however, is that if you look at the composition of these gangs, these are as secular can be. They have Hindus and Sikhs working together. They kill both Hindus and Sikhs without any discrimination. Lawrence Bishnoi, as the name indicates, is from the Bishnoi caste, a small caste in Haryana. Remember Bhajan Lal, the chief minister, was from the Bishnoi caste. Satinderjeet Singh or Goldy Brar is a Jat Sikh from Punjab. Rohit Godara is a Jat, could be from Haryana, but in this case, this indictment says is from Rajasthan, could be from Rajasthan as well. Of the people they have killed, Nijjar is a Jat Sikh. Someone else, Sunil Yadav, who was killed in Stockton, California, as the name indicates, is a Yadav. So it's not as if it is Sikhs killing Hindus or Hindus killing Sikhs. It's basically gangsters with great transnational networks killing either for extortion or for kidnapping or for revenge or just to carry out paid hits, take money, kill somebody, and to spread fear so they can make more money and also to enable their drug and human smuggling operations. First of all, this indictment makes one thing clear. This indictment says that Nijjar killing was organized, it was a hit carried out at the instructions or on the orders or on the say-so or on a payment by Lawrence Bishnoi gang. It does not say anywhere that any Indian government authority or official was involved. In fact, the Canadian police also has now said that they have no evidence for that. Once again, it should be a moment of reflection for Canadian authorities as well, because they ruined their relationship with such an important country, with the fourth largest economy, just because of rumors and because of pressures from their constituents and pressures from their vote bank. That is something that will go as a black mark with Justin Trudeau's record. The fact is that Mark Carney, ever since he's taken over, he's normalized relations with India. Our high commissioners are back in each other's countries. We are improving our trade, and other important things are happening between Canada and India. I will not say relationship is back to where it should have been had all this tamasha not happened under Trudeau, but yet about 70%, 60 to 70% repair work already has been done. Since the pattern is more or less similar in all these cases, pattern of operation, I will hold forth for a little while on the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. Lawrence Bishnoi gang, or who the American criminal system describes as an OCG, which is organized crime group, he used the indictment says threat, allurement, and also managed his organization. He had thousands of followers, thousands of gang members. This was organized in terms of cutouts. So head of one cutout did not know what the other was doing. They knew very little about each other. Also, the investigators have found out that they would get sometimes minors or really impoverished people, pay them very little, but promise them visas to go to Canada, Britain, Australia, on the pretext of being students, etc., and carry out their tasks there. In the process, everybody made some money. When gold dust like this was flying by way of cocaine, for example, the total amount of cocaine smuggling, which these three gangs have been held responsible for, is 1,000 kilos. 1,000 kilos in street value right now in New York would be upwards of $500 million. And there is much more. In fact, if you read these indictments, there are pictures of many trucks where consignments of cocaine have been caught. And then there is heroin, guns, and then enormous amounts of money made in illegal human trafficking. In fact, in many cases, and this applies to all three, in many cases, they are also accused of stealing narcotics from other people's consignments, other gangs' consignments, or waylaying them and grabbing their consignments. In one case, and this is not the Bishnoi gang, but in one case, say in the Dhanda case, the indictment also says that they had corrupted, in fact, they say for all three of them that they had corrupted Indian law enforcement machinery, which means they'd been bribing Indian police, immigration, etc. But they also say that they also had Canadian Border Security Agency people in their pockets. In one case, there is the instance of a Canadian Border Security agent being controlled by the Dhanda group, and he would let them know when inspections were expected, so they could let their own stuff into Canada, that is narcotics, mostly cocaine from the US. It was coming in from Mexico. To help them get this into Canada unmolested by inspections, they had this Canadian Border Security agent in their pocket as well. Now, how do you spread fear? Killing Nijjar was one thing. Nijjar was killed on 18th of June 2023 by two co-conspirators who were shown his picture and given his multiple addresses by Lawrence Bishnoi. That's what the indictment or the charge sheet says. Those alleged gunmen were subsequently arrested by the Canadians and they are in jail awaiting trial. But to continue to build on that further, on November 25, the same year 2023, there was shooting outside the house of very well-known singer and actor, Punjabi singer and actor, G.P. Grewal. His formal name is Rupinder Singh Grewal, and once again, a Punjabi warning was given to him on Facebook saying no one can save you from us, basically pay us. And this then continued on in California as well. The same pattern, a threat usually given in Punjabi language on Facebook, etc., all on encrypted apps. The little did they know that doing crime in India is one thing, but doing crime across the world, particularly across the Western world, America, Canada, Europe, Britain, is a completely different thing. Because those countries, law enforcement doesn't necessarily work with danda, they work with electronics. So what law enforcement had done in this case is, they had put a Mickey into the phones of all of these people. So while they were using voice over internet protocol or encrypted apps, all of that was being picked up by the investigating agencies in these multiple countries, and this was shared and added up to these indictments. For example, one particular extortion bid in California was fully staged by law enforcement, which in this case must be FBI. So they got somebody to come up, that is CI1 or Confidential Informant 1, who let it be known to these gangsters that he was owed a bunch of money, like $2 lakh, by somebody else, and he wasn't giving the money. So can you guys please let me get back that money? That request was made to Sukhraj Kang, who's a member of the Lawrence Bishnoi group. Sukhraj Kang and his people said, obviously we'll help you for a certain fee. CI1, the confidential informant 1, then gave them the name of the person, name and whereabouts of the person who owed him the money. That person also was an undercover agent. He is listed in the indictment as UC1 or undercover 1. So while all of this stuff is going on and these Charlies are trying to extort money from Mr. B to give it back to A, to whom he supposedly owes that money, they don't know that both are intelligence plants, and everything that they do in that process is being recorded. And all of this Sukhraj Kang so far was doing for a fee of $16,000, because after all, you have to pay your people. Your people are all over America, Canada, aapke log sare mein phaile hue hain. You have to pay for them. This gang also tried to extort in California $5 million. That was to be a big one. $5 million from somebody called SS, obviously a Sikh, owner of a trucking company. They said, you are a rich guy, you pay us $5 million. Now, in the middle of all this, one case stands out. And that's the reason I said that the Jaggu Bhagwanpuria indictment is also significant for us in India. And that's also why I mentioned specifically his co-conspirator Gurlal Singh's name. Now, Gurlal Singh is just 22, right? He's a quote-unquote talented 22 for a gangster. He tried to make money from a rich family in Los Angeles by threatening them to get their relatives in India. Relatives means their father and sister and their family in India involved or embroiled in a murder. And this was a significant murder in India. This year, on 15th of January, in Tanda police station area in the General Hoshiarpur district region of Punjab, an Aam Aadmi Party worker Balbinder Singh was killed. He was running a hardware shop, poor fellow. He was killed, and when he was killed, Gurlal Singh and others claimed that they had carried out the hit, right? That is all part of building fame for yourself. After that happened, they called somebody in Los Angeles and said, listen, you pay us $4 lakh for $400,000, or we have the cop, in this case the SHO of Tanda, in our pocket. He will embroil your family there in this murder. This SHO, who's been removed from his position just this Wednesday as these indictments came out and has been sent to police lines. He's not been charged with anything yet in India. He held a press conference after this murder on 24th of May. 24th of May, this is just after Gurlal Singh has made this threatening call in LA. All of this is being recorded by law enforcement. He holds a press conference in which he says, in this murder, 3 more names have come out and they will be formally named very soon. And then he reaches out to them and says, you pay this money that's demanded of you in the US, otherwise I will name you in this murder. All that evidence is there. That press conference was on camera. And just in case you think we're giving a raw deal to the Dhanda gang, the only reason they don't find as much mention as the other two is that what they've done right now does not have that much of a connection with India, except that it looks like all their gang members are Indian. However, theirs is the gang. However, his is the gang that is supposed to have bought over or rented, and I quote now from the indictment, an individual working for the Canadian Border Services Agency, CBSA. And how did they transfer trucks from one side to the other? That means your gang members take the truck to the border, and your gang members from the other side, Canadian sides, come and take custody of the truck or the consignment. They use the serial number of a dollar bill as their code. Since many of you are interested in more detail, and some of you might be amateur lawyers or maybe real lawyers as well, so you want to see the evidence, I will share links for all three indictments with you with the description of this video. Please see that. However, in conclusion, I can say that this is a story of globally organized crime, illegal immigration, that is human trafficking, drug running at an industrial scale, gun running, assassinations, extortions, blackmail, all of this involving people of Indian origin. Remember, all the gangsters, at least the key members, barring some odd ones here and there, these are Indian gangs. These are ethnically Indian gangs. They are mostly operating overseas, and they are also in Anglosphere, US, Canada, Britain, Australia, a little bit in Europe here and there, but mainly in these countries, and targeting people of Indian origins. To that extent, this is also a very sad Indian story. It's also a slur on India that Indian law enforcement has been so weak that these people have been running these rackets based in India, and not just based in India. That is in the case of Lawrence Bishnoi and Jagu Bhagwanpuria from maximum security Indian prisons, because the indictment says that they've been getting these encrypted VoIP, voice over internet protocol phones in prisons and running their empires quite freely from there. That doesn't look good for India. However, the fact that now it's formally been made clear that Government of India or its agents or agencies were not involved in the Nijjar assassination is a big relief and vindication for India as well. Now just think about it. These guys who claim to be so smart, they can run these multinational networks, triads, kill anybody they want, blackmail, collect humongous amounts of money, move hundreds of kilos of cocaine across borders. All of them got caught in a planted operation by US law enforcement. That is an informant and an undercover agent. This tells you that however cruel and cynical these people might be, real life is not like a lot of the Punjabi gangster pop had portrayed it to be. Real life globally is very different, and real crime globally is also very different from doing it in India, because that's where you get caught with technology and much smarter investigating agencies. What is smart in India or what is clever in India can be dumb overseas, particularly in the developed world, or it can be too clever by half.